Thanks for saying, Chin. Recently, news broke that President Bola Tinubu is scheduled to commission the $400 million Otagipo onshore crude oil export terminal in Rivers State on October 8th, the first new crude export facility to be built in Nigeria over 50 years. Now, the facility, developed by Green Energy International Limited, GEIL, operators of the Otakipo field in OML 11, Ekuru Town, Andoni local government area of Rivers State, is the first wholly indigenous onshore terminal built in Nigeria. The last such facility, the Focados terminal, was commissioned in 1971. According to a statement signed by GAIL's Executive Director of Legal and Corporate Services, Olusegun Ilori, on Thursday, the terminal aligns with President Tinubu's drive to boost crude oil production and address Nigeria's long-standing evacuation challenges. As we stand on the cusp of what could be a new chapter in Nigeria's energy history, we're honored to bring you voices directly at the intersection of policy and public accountability. Joining us today is someone who has followed the pulse of Nigeria's oil reforms, indigenous content debates, and the potential of local industry to transform communities. In this conversation, we'll not only ask what is possible, but what must be done, especially for the youth, the Niger Delta, and of course, the future of indigenous oil in Nigeria, particularly also finding the significance and potentials of this facility at this time. Joining us is oil and gas expert, MD and CEO, SOSTENIBILI Energy and Infrastructure Limited, engineer Godwin Bay joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure to be with you.
All right. Well, the Otakipo oil terminal, there are some facts that stand out. It is dubbed the first onshore crude export terminal in 50 years. Built 100% by indigenous workforce. These are quite lofty. Could you bring us some insights regarding this particular facility and what it means to be in Nigeria and specifically in the Niger Delta region at this time?
Thank you very much. Actually, it's a great news. The Otakipo crude loading terminal, onshore crude loading terminal, it is a great news. And it's something that everybody should be delighted and be happy with. It's great. It's something that's going to help our economy further, and this is worthy of commendation for the promoters of the terminal, because it's going to have a multiplier effect in the economy. Number one, it's going to create jobs for workers and young people in the Niger Delta. Going to create a lot of jobs, both direct and indirect jobs, which will run into thousands. That's one. Two, is going to support the evacuation of crude from many stranded fields. There are many fields that evacuation of crude is a problem as of now. I think so 40 of them, more than 40 of them. So this terminal will help in evacuation of such crude, and of course it will help in increasing the daily production. The terminal has an evacuating capacity of 350,000 barrels a day. The storage capacity is 750,000 barrels a day, which is expandable to 3 million over a short period of time. So it's a great news, and the oil industry should celebrate that achievement actually. And also when it was built by locals, everything there I'm told is built by local manpower, local resources, So it is good. It is good, and I'm actually excited. I'm glad. I'm very happy that this kind of thing is happening at this point in time, and it will help us to head towards achievement of 3 million barrels of oil a day. If you get our acts together, we should even be able to produce more than 3 million barrels of oil per day. But now we produce barely 1.7, which is not good enough for various reasons. As a result of theft, aging facilities, and all the bottlenecks, in the supply chain. Yeah,
Well,
thank you for that.
well, Engineer Bay, there are still obstacles that were very much inherent in the system even before this development. But do you think that those obstacles have been moved away? And looking at the oil industry currently in Nigeria, what potential gains do you think this is going to add to the oil industry?
Whatever you are doing, be it technical, be it social or otherwise, there will always be obstacles. But what you try to do is to bring the obstacle to barest minimum. Of course, there are still obstacles. For example, the Niger Delta issue. Recently, the president, kind of gave the go-ahead that he should start producing in the Ogoni land. But soon after the president gave that nod, the Ogoni people said, sorry, we cannot agree. You have not treated us well. There are still a number of outstanding issues, we need to be addressed. So sorry, we cannot give you a free access, a license to operate in the environment. And of course, if the community doesn't agree, sorry, we are making the greatest mistake. So that's one. And of course, the facilities are aging. In fact, they are aged. There are some facilities that you have to, if you don't do a major work on them, pipelines, they are not going to be able to transport your crude. And of course, a high cost of production. I'm sure you are aware that we do a lot of barging. A lot of operators do barging now, and barging is expensive, very expensive compared with piping through the transporting through the evacuating through the pipelines. So the challenges are there. We have to try to manage them to the best of our ability and to the best of our resources. Say waiting for a time when there will be no challenge is like waiting for a perfect situation. There will already be challenges, but we'll do our best to manage them to the barest minimum.
All right. Well, we hear that the operators are saying the terminal unlocks over 40 stranded fields and lowers production costs, of course. What assumptions underlie those claims?
Yeah, yes, that's intelligence information I get. They operate OMR 11, but there are 40 stranded fields that have been struggling with evacuation. But with this terminal now, it's going to ease evacuation from those more than 40 stranded fields in the neighborhood and the region, and that should help in revving up our production level from 1.7 to maybe 2 million by the end of this year, and then we guess goes further than that in the months to come.
Well, of course, when we talk about projects of this nature, we also would not leave out the security risks that come with operating something of this magnitude. Do you think that this has been well structured, and I mean, it is going to be controlled and regulated as effectively as possible towards ensuring that security aspect of it is upheld and ensured?
I'm very sure, without being told, that the promoters of that terminal, they must have done their homework in terms of security. They would have done environmental, social, and impact assessment. They are aware of the security challenges in the Niger Delta, which is paramount and which is very, very crucial. Yes, I am sure they will have plan. Without being told, I'm so sure they will have plan to address security issues, because it's live. It's just like somebody going to swim. If you are going to swim, in a big ocean, a big river, you make sure that you put on your PPE, your vest, and your life jacket. You can't just dive into the river, into the water, without putting what is necessary. Or even when you are traveling by boat, in the neighborhood, in the waterproof areas, you must put on your vest and all that. So I am convinced, without any doubt in my mind, that they would have thought through. For them to have produced or to have, constructed that terminal, that onshore terminal, I think it's a credit. I would like to give my credit to them.
All right, Engineer Ibe. Now, talking about equity shares, when we talk about host communities, the state government itself, and of course, where the facility is being built and set to kick off, do you think that there are efforts that must be made towards ensuring that the host communities are carried along? Because it is situations like this that eventually you start hearing of rancors, rifts that turn out very messy. What do you think that enough work that should go into ensuring that this operation is as smooth as possible, carrying especially the host community along?
It's very, very important that we carry the communities along. I joined the oil industry in the 70s, about mid 70s, and then it was peace and quiet. I mean, without any doubt, the communities were one of the best group of people you can deal with. I can bear testimony to that. In those days, the area and other areas, you have a freeway. They treat you well. A community dare not maltreat you, because the other, a community member dare not maltreat you, because others will rise up against him or her. But things change because we didn't treat the communities well. To say, the problem with communities now is self-inflicted. The nation inflicted upon themselves. They ignore the communities so much so that it becomes so apparent that without rising, making an uprising, then they don't get anything. Meanwhile, we get all the money and go and spend on other parts of the country. And I think the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, which was passed into law in 2021, very much recognizes that. So if you want to operate in the community, please make sure you meet all the requirements, and all the conditions set out in PIA, and all the things that the communities may require you to do, which are legitimate. Why should they not enjoy oil producing from their areas? We produce oil from their areas and we go and enjoy it elsewhere. That is no go. And I'm so sure that the promoters of this terminal would have taken that into account. I don't know what the equity sharing is in that terminal is, but I think it would be a blunder if they haven't taken care of that. And I wouldn't want to believe that they haven't taken care of all that.
All right, Engineer Ibe. Well, the oil sector often feels distant, especially from the host communities, talking about the youth, even though it is so close. So you can imagine the irony now. What do you think can be done towards ensuring that these persons who actually host these facilities benefit optimally from these facilities? I mean, it is supposed to also encourage development of the human capital and ensuring that the persons that are on ground are carried along as much as possible. We hear that it was 100% domestic in putting it up and erecting the structure, but then can the host communities be better catered for?
Yes, everything in life, there's always room for improvement. And improvement is not a destination. Yeah, an improvement is a never-ending journey. There's always room for improvement. We've not done that much for the communities, so there's a wide margin to improve in terms of building local capacity, in terms of establishing basic amenities for the communities, in terms of giving them good education, and I'm sure when we do all that, the communities will be most willing to accommodate and to allow and give us license to operate. But if we don't do that, then sorry, we are not doing the best. These days, the communities are very much enlightened. They are so enlightened. Like in the 70s, early 70s, you had a few layers in Ogoni land, for example. But now you have a whole lot of them, in law, in engineering, in all other areas of study and areas of practice, So the communities are enlightened. So in other communities in the West and East Delta. So we have to call a spade and do what is needful, to help us to move the oil and gas industry forward. We must not make the mistakes of the past, So improvement is a continuum. We have to keep improving, looking at it every time and seeing what do you call it, environment, social, and the governance, both at micro and macro level, and if the truth has to be told, managing our resources over the decades has not been good enough. Countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, who were below us in the 60s, when we got independent, they are South Korea, they are ahead of us now. Even when we get our ass together now, it will take us light years to get to where they are now. So we just have to be serious and focus, and of course shun corruption, because one of the major problems you have as a cankerworm, is corruption. Stench of corruption is part of the thing that is affecting the oil industry too. So when we get all that with corruption brought to the barest minimum, discipline, focus, and then proper planning, because proper planning prevents poor performance. So when we do all that, we are sure of making progress, revving up in all areas of all facets of oil and gas industry.
I mean,
Thank you.
the conversation, especially when we talk about the oil sector, has always been about how the youths can be carried along. And when issues of this nature arise, it is always happed that education should always be at the center of it. Now, talking about tech hubs, ensuring that there are ways the youths can be trained effectively towards taking over when facilities of this nature come up, do you think one of the areas that must be emphasized is the education of the youths, especially those ones that come out from the host communities where these facilities are being birthed?
Yes, indeed. They need education, both social and technical education. They need to be aware of the impact of what oil can do to their communities, to themselves, and then so they should be properly educated, and then given opportunity, to practice some of the things they would have learned in the technical school or on the polytechnics. In those days in Shell is reputed to give their staff the best of training, on-the-job training, formal training, informal training, and then hence, with all due respect, Shell has supplied the core of the professionals in oil and gas industry. Of course, other companies too, like Total, Noble, and all that, they're also there, giving their support and helping to build the economy.
All right, Engineer Engr, well, when we talk about the mechanisms that can be put in place towards ensuring that broken promises are addressed, you usually hear promises that are sometimes not put on paper, sometimes they are, and even when they are on paper, they are still reneged upon. You think that strong mechanisms can be set to put in place towards ensuring that when conglomerates of this nature spring up, they can be held to account when they deviate from the template in which they said we're going to operate, especially talking about the human capital development aspect and what it promised to give back to the people? And you think that the PIA is going to do any work here, especially with the controversies and criticisms that it hasn't really lived up to its billing?
Well, if you ask me, the average Nigerian, the average native Nigerian, be it in the Niger Delta or elsewhere, is a nice person. After all, our forefathers existed without all this problem. So I think it's a matter of trust. If you permit me to draw a triangle, on the top vertex you put trust, and on the other two vertices you put trust, and on the center you write a bold trust. Once you have trust, once they have trust, you know, you know, on operators of the industry, then the problem is half solved. But the thing is that for whatever reason, and maybe rightly too, we do things that do not engender trust, that do not give them confidence to trust the system. It's just like friendship or relationship. Everything in life is about relationship, whether it's community versus operators or employer and employee, husband and wife, relationship. And that relationship must be built on trust. It's not a matter, oh, trust me, trust me. You have to do something that will make oneself trustworthy. Once there is trust by virtue of our actions, then we'll gain the confidence of the community, and then this will improve, which will have a multiplying effect in the oil and gas practice and production. But when we say one thing and do the other to them, the first time we do it, the second time we do it, the third time we do it, if you now come the fourth or the fifth time, serious, they won't trust you. So we must ensure that whatever we promise, we make sure we achieve it. In those days, we have a phrase, delivering on promise. When you make a promise to the community, please make sure you deliver it. Otherwise, you are causing problem for yourself.
All right, Engineer, we'll talk about the role of the local media now, the civil society organizations, and of course, youth watchdogs in monitoring compliance and accountability as this facility, this terminal flags off. Do you think that there are pertinent roles that these sections of society have to play? I mean, if these persons are held to account on the promises they made and the quotas they hoped to achieve, do you think that they will be able to do that if they are put on their toes by, say, the media, the local media, the youth watchdogs, and of course, the civil society organizations? What roles are spelled out clearly for these segments of society towards ensuring that this particular terminal lives up to its bidding?
Yes, indeed, the media is a very important segment of the economy, and more often than not, if you don't have a proper media outreach, then you kind of reduce the chances of your success. So media in their various forms, should be deployed, to propagate knowledge, to propagate awareness, to win the support of the community, through the local village community people, through the NGOs, through your very good selves, promoting things that will give positive outlook, gas production, and then help in sustaining oil production and engendering things that will help the economy and the oil industry. Yes, so media is key. Media in its various form. You know the media more than myself, better than myself. So yes, the media is very crucial.
All right. Well, we've been tracking some of the points regarding the capacity of the Otakipo oil terminal. And of course, some quick facts that are quite important. It's the first onshore crude export terminal in 50 years, built 100% by indigenous workforce, inaugurated March 18, 2025, and now, of course, set for commissioning by President Tinubu October 8. And the capacity is $400 million initial build, $1.3 billion full development, that is at 360,000 barrels per day pumping capacity, 750,000 barrels storage, and expandable to 3 million barrels per day. And of course, injection capacity, 250,000 barrels per day. Well, when we look at all of these lofty numbers, do you see our abilities to actually improve on it, expand it to the 3 million, which has been projected? Is it possible?
Yeah, well, everything is possible. with determination, with zeal, with proper planning, all that is possible. I mean, it's not a rocket science. And if you ask me, I think green energy has started well. They started with 750,000 barrel storage capacity, expandable to 3 million. They currently have able to produce 350,000 barrels a day. And then, of course, I'm sure the design of the facility would have been such that they made room for those improvements. It's very possible. It's not impossible. It's not rocket science. It's just to ensure that the 5 P's of planning, proper planning prevents poor performance, should be deployed. More often than not, projects in Nigeria fail because we don't do proper front-end work. But when we do proper front-end work, which I believe this company has done, then achieving your targets will not be so much difficult. And of course, having the right staff with the requisite experience, then it's very possible to achieve.
All right, all right. Well, Engineer Ibe, 90% contracts awarded to Nigerian firms. Do you see how this has supported local content?
Yes, we have the Nigerian Content Development Board, which is very active and driving the issue of local content. So with 90% of the job given to the community, it should be helpful. One, it helps in training them in such areas. For instance, those of them that have been involved in this terminal now, when you have a similar construction in future, they will kind of do better because they will latch onto the experience they gain from this current onshore terminal, and of course with continuous training, especially on the job, they should be able to achieve a lot.
If we were to talk about the potentials this hold for Nigeria's economy, how big is it? And then there is also that accusation that Nigeria is no stranger to putting up very huge infrastructure, but then the concern regarding maintenance is always in the room. That seems to be the devil in the detail. What words do you have regarding this conversation around maintenance of the facilities that we have? I mean, our refineries are not still working, but then we are talking about this terminal now. How assured are we that the issue of maintenance would not come up, say, a few months from now even?
Well, the truth of the matter is that maintenance culture in Nigeria is near zero. The culture is near zero. We do more of breakdown maintenance, unlike in other climes where you have planned maintenance, scheduled maintenance, preventive maintenance. You don't wait until your facility breaks down before you start to maintain it. There's some maintenance you do, it kind of prevents breakdown of your equipment or your facility. For example, all the running turbines and rotating equipment, you must monitor them regularly. Your facilities, you must do maintenance painting on them periodic. In those days in Shell facilities, we used to do every 5 years, you paint all the structures on land and in the swamp every 4 years, with high performance coatings. And then offshore, you have enhanced coating to use it. So you must do these things, so that your facility is maintained. And then you also plan shutdown. Sometimes you plan shutdown, you plan into the production profile. Maybe we shut down social period for 2 days or 3 days, and so on such days you will have been accumulating works that need to be done. So that 2 or 3 days have a focus, shutdown maintenance of the facility, and after that you go back to production. So I think we have to improve significantly on our maintenance profile. It's just that we are not really cultured into doing maintenance, but it has to change. It has to change.
All right,
And
engineer. Engineer, we're to look at the next 10 years. What are those three top priorities that you say are must-haves if we must truly attain that level we want to reach when we talk about oil production in the country?
okay, thank you very much. Number one is reserve replacement ratio. We call it RRR, reserve replacement ratio. The culture or the requirement is that, for instance, if you produce 4 million barrels of oil today, you must discover at least 4 million barrels, to replace what you have produced. That reserve replacement ratio. That's one. Number two is efficiency of production. Ultimate recovery of the reserves. Your technology and your production must be such that you optimize. The production of the reservoir. Of course, with proper reservoir management, with proper production profile and recording, and also with proper maintenance, downhole maintenance, and all that. That's the second one. And I think the third one is to have a well-motivated, trained, and experienced workforce. If you have those three things, reserve replacement ratio, workforce, and then optimal production of your reserves, I think we have gone a long way in trying to increase our production profile and maintain some stability in the industry. And also, it will help in our energy security, because energy security is another major thing that we're lacking. Our energy security is weak, very weak. Oh, wow. For example, we are producing like 5,000 megawatts for 250 million or 230 million people. I mean, it's a shame, actually. When 62 million people in South Africa have well over 70,000 megawatts of power. In Egypt, Egypt's less than, I think, 50 million or thereabout. They produce over 100,000 megawatts of power. But here we produce only 6,000 megawatts, to power a 230 million country. I mean, that is no go. And without power, without energy, you cannot have development.
All right.
Without energy, you can't have development. You can't have progress.
All right, engineer. Let's end this conversation with hammering on the part that mostly would concern most Nigerians, the one that they will be really interested in. Talking about this terminal, the Otakipo onshore crude oil export terminal. How would this terminal support the conversation around ensuring that prices of things, especially when you talk about the products, the petroleum products, and the cost of it currently, you think that it's going to play a role in ensuring that the prices are more affordable for Nigerians? Well,
the more oil we produce, the more we're able to support the local refineries, prominent of which is Dangote Refinery. And I think there's another refinery coming up somewhere in the southwest. And 2 or 3 days ago, I think we have Hakeem Bello and the popular global investor who has some airports in UK. They came to visit the president. I think they are trying to come and set up an oil refinery or something like that. And of course, you have the mini refineries, So the more oil we produce, the more we're able to support them, and hopefully, the more it's going to affect pricing, to bring down the price.
All right.
Hoping that that there will be sincerity of purpose, honesty, without wanting to profiteer. So I think it should add value.
All right.
Sure, actually.
Thank you. Thank you very much, oil and gas expert, MD and CEO, Sustainability Energy and Infrastructure Limited. Thank you for speaking to us, Engineer Godwin eBay. We appreciate your points and any reviews on the program.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to have been with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, there we have it. That's the size of Niger Delta today. Thank you very much for staying with us. And it is the weekend. We're hoping that you have a swell one and a terrific one, that is. My name is Xavier Robert, and you can also follow all of our activities, all of which you can find on our website, adbntv.com. Have a terrific weekend. Bye.